Welcome into another episode of Kollectiv Knowledge. I am your host, Shane Barrett. You can find me on Twitter at FFShaneB. Make sure you follow the Twitter account at FF_Kollectiv. That's KOLLECTIV. Like and subscribe on YouTube so that way you can never miss Kollectiv Knowledge. And with me tonight is friend of the show, but also host of the Smoke Show podcast, co-host of the Jet Sweep Show, and Fantasy Points Live and Sports Me content creator, Josh. You better know him better as Smokey Nelson. Josh, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Ooh, I'm fantastic, Shane, man. It's great to be here. It's great to see you, man. I just finished episode 1 of the second season of the Jet Sweep Show, my other podcast there with my beautiful co-host, Will Harris, at It's Harris Time on Twitter. It's
He
good.
is beautiful, isn't he?
He is, man. Just I don't know if it's just the viridian adorning his luscious body, but I'm getting a hot and bother here. But needless to say, I am warmed up and ready to go for you, brother.
Awesome. I love that. So before we jump in, I got to pay the bills. So make sure that you come prop up on Thrive Fantasy today. This football season, all season long, it doesn't matter. Thrive Fantasy is a daily fantasy sports and esports app for player props. You choose 10 out of the 20 available player props to build your lineup. Each prop is assigned a different fantasy value based on the over and under of how likely it is to hit. Today, for example, if you wanted a cheat code, they still had Tyrell Williams set at over under, I think, 41.5 receiving yards. Tyrell Williams was out, so you should have smashed that under. That's just an example of what you'd be picking on Thrive Fantasy app. So hit the most props, rack up the most points, and you win a share of the prize pool, which I've actually done a few times. Won a $10 prop yesterday, won about $50 last week. So it's really easy to win money too. With that being said, use promo code FFShaneB or use the link that I can drop to you on Twitter. Download the Thrive Fantasy app on the App Store or Play Store, or visiting the website, www.thrivefantasy.com. Sign up and prop up today. So, Josh, thanks for bearing through that. And now we'll rock and roll.
Beautiful.
So we'll hop right in now to the questions. The whole point of this show, if you guys haven't caught it before, is to get to know people like Josh and other people in the fantasy community, which has been really cool for me because, like, while being involved, there are people that I don't know because it is so large and spread out. So, Josh, we'll start off with the same question I ask everybody first. When was your first fantasy football league?
So my very first league was a work league, and this is when I was many years ago bartending down in the capital city of our province. For those of you who don't know, I am Canadian. I know my handlers aren't showing or anything like that. I keep them tucked back for all these American broadcasts. But yeah, no, I am Canadian. I'm from the west coast of Canada, just a little drive north of our capital. And this is probably about 2009-ish.
Okay.
I was bartending at the sports bar. Fucking great place, man.
Oh,
Did live
nice.
comedy on the. Oh, it was the most fun. Like, it's just great to look back on, and one of the few places in that industry, because I was in that industry quite a while, 20 plus years, doing everything from running restaurants, doing my own bar consulting and everything like that, menu creation. Cocktails was my game, but that's another story for another time. I like to create no matter what it is. I'm artistic and I need outlets always. But yeah, anyways, to get back to the original story here. So back in about 2009, I'm working at this place, and the owner is like, "Hey, we're gonna get this fantasy league going. Do you want to? We need another guy. Do you want to give it a try?" I'm like, "Sure, yeah, why not? I'll give it a try." As just a very standard ESPN league type thing, but we did a live draft, and
Ooh, I bet that was fun.
I was hooked. It was so good. Oh my god! Like live, nothing beats a live draft when it comes to fantasy football. Like I'm a degenerate. I'm an addict. I'm in 36 leagues, man. Like I'm not for the faint of heart. But like live draft, there's nothing that compares to it. It's just so much fun. Shit talking in real. I mean, like smack talking in real. I don't know, we curse on this, but
Let it rip.
just getting in people's faces and just in a friendly manner and everything. It's all cool. Everyone's all chill and everything, but you get invested, you get emotionally invested, you get hyped up. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you guys have seen me on Twitter. You guys have seen me on my podcast. I like to get a little hyped up. So like me in a live draft, woo! But yeah, no, that's how I got kind of introduced to the game of fantasy football, and I was hooked. I did terrible. I learned a very hard lesson very early, thankfully. But
Which was what?
if there's one thing that I can impress on any person that is new to fantasy football, pick with your head, not your heart. I loaded up on Cowboys. Because newsflash, I'm a diehard Cowboys fan, and I might have
knew I
loaded up
liked
on
you.
some guys. Yeah, man, about them Cowboys. But yeah, I loaded up ill-advised on a bunch of Cowboys back then. Did not make playoffs. I think I got maybe like second or third last in the league, which is all
Oh
good.
no.
It didn't matter. The hooks were in, man. I was hooked, and then because I live in Canada in a place where it's not exactly as thriving as it is south of the 49th. It was kind of hard for me to find people to be in leagues with and stuff like that. So for a good number of years, I was not in one anymore. But then I through some moving and everything, came back to the island that I'm from, and I started running this restaurant, and there was other people that liked NFL football on staff. And I was like, yes, this is my opportunity. This is my chance. So 8 years ago, my home league that I still have running was created. And it was, back then, it was an 8-team league, standard scoring. And I know you have a question that we'll kind of dive into that. So we'll touch back on that. But needless to say, for the last 8+ years running, I've had my home league going, and then within the last year, 2 years, I've really started expanding my horizons when it comes to league quantities.
You and me both. You said you're in 36.
Yes, sir. Now, an asterisk, a caveat, whatever you want to say on that. I think like either 17 or 19 of those are best ball. 17.
Oh,
I think I've.
oh
Yeah,
no.
so I think I have like
then I'm in a
19
lot more than
managed
you are.
leagues.
So I'm in 38 managed leagues. I counted today.
Well played, sir. Well played.
And then pile on best ball on top of that. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that anymore though, because this is about you. So you kind of answered my next question, which is that initial work league still going, and if not, what's your longest running league?
So that is my longest running league at this point. As I said, we started off as an 8-person league, standard scoring and everything. Through time, we have evolved it. It's grown to 12 teams. It's now back to 10 teams. Once we find a couple steady owners for next year, we're going to have an expansion draft and go back into it, because now we are a 10-team contract league, full PPR.
Oh, no.
6 IDP slots, so you got to start 2
Love
defensive ends,
it.
2 defensive linemen, and 2 linebackers. Yeah, so we've definitely each year we get the competition committee together. So it's usually me, the co-commissioner, and one other person that we elect. Get together, hash out new ideas for the league. Some we will implement straight away. Some we will bring to a league vote or whatever. But we're always trying to constantly evolve this so everyone is having the most fun that you can have, because that is the point of the game, man, is to have fun.
Yeah.
And what's more fun than having the most complicated league that you can barely keep track of? But yeah, contract league, fun as hell. I love it. And
I have not done one of those yet.
Oh, you're missing out, brother. But the last 3 years running, I've made the finals. The first of the 2 years, I lost to the same guy both years. And I did the calculations. This is before Sleeper came out with those reports. The first year, no matter what lineup combination I could have done, would have lost. I can live with that. That is something that is not resting upon my soul.
Yeah.
The second year, however, up against the same guy, I tilted, made a foolish coaching decision at the last minute, and it lost me the championship.
No.
So this year, should I say last off season, I did the work. It was mine. That target was in my sights, and I made it. I made it to the finals for a third year in a row. but it wasn't against the same guy this year, so it didn't feel as good, but I won, so it still felt pretty good. So on the 7th year, God said, let there be championship. And there was championship, and it was good. That was very sacrilegious, but we're going there. I mean, my middle name is Hell. But yeah,
it was funny, so I'll allow it. Okay, so next question for you is, obviously you and I both have a problem. Let's say you're getting in one more managed league, but it's got to be your perfect or your absolute favorite settings. What do those have to be for you to say, yep, I'm joining it? I don't care if I'm maxed out on leagues. I will join this league because it is my absolute favorite league settings.
So let's just pretend that I'm not going to automatically say yes to this already without even hearing what it's about. But let's get hypothetical here. For me, I like it when I like it when positions are kind of evenly weighted in a draft. So whether that be, a decent premium on tight ends, big chunk play premiums, a slight premium on pass catching for running back. So like tiered PPR bonuses for positional positions. But something like that where, when you're going into the draft, it's just mayhem, it's chaos. Any draft plan could matter, and drafts are the funnest part for me.
Me too.
Because there's so many different strategies that you can do. You go in, and depending on how those first couple of picks fall, depending on where you are in it, anything could happen from there. So that's what I love about it. But for my ideal settings, something that would balance out the draft to make it the maximum amount of fun. And some crazy twists or stuff like that multiverse league. Awesome twist. I'm in one that every week you have to cut a roster position. There's no bench. So like last week I cut one, like you start off, you have to draft 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, 1 kicker, and 6 each of wide receiver and running back. And each week you have to delete a position. And you can play waivers with the other ones and everything like that for other people that have been cut.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, in the finals, it will literally be 1 versus 1.
Oh, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and like stuff like that. Like I'm in these 2 different setups of best ball leagues. It's 12 different leagues. And it's not exactly the same people in every league. It's just like whoever was the first to sign up for these. But they're free best ball leagues. And the winner of each of these leagues gets put into another best ball league next year. And it's just for like a free signed jersey or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like a 2-year thing where the second year is basically a Champions League of people playing for a jersey or whatever. And there's no cost or anything. But all these different leagues have like the craziest settings. Like there'll be like...
Yeah.
quarterback throws an interception, you get 15 points, or like or there's like an 8
so you may want to start Jameis.
Yeah, or there's like a tight end premium of like 8 points per catch. Like it's ridiculous, but it makes it so that like if you didn't pay attention to the scoring settings before you started the draft, you could just absolutely pooch yourself trying to draft a good team.
Yeah.
So stuff that throws a twist in it. I'm like, I'm a degenerate, man. The regular stuff doesn't work for me anymore. You got to give me the hard stuff. You got to get me excited about that. But yeah, that's what it would take for me. Something crazy, something that's new, something that's paradigm shifting. I love that.
All right. Well, then you and I need to get together on a league because I think we could come up with something crazy. All right. So when did you start making content for fantasy football, Josh?
May 2020. I am like one of the newer people on the scene, which is funny because
I actually think I remember your first piece.
Yeah. So my first written piece was actually a CMC regression article. And it was kind of funny because the examples I used was the top 7 running back performances of all time, single season. And the sample size was so small that it was kind of hard to extrapolate a lot of things, but I did some projections through that and everything. And I said, if he plays the season, even if he regresses a bit, he's probably still going to finish the running back one by a healthy margin.
Yeah.
But then I had a kind of an addendum or whatever on it saying, the sample size is even smaller than the 7 because 3 of them got like supremely injured the next year. And then what happens? But CMC goes out and gets injured. So I was like,
That's crazy.
yeah. So I did a couple strategy articles and stuff like that, but the writing wasn't what I was. I mean, it was nice to kind of flex it out. And then I did a start sit column for the first 13 weeks or whatever it was for the regular season of fantasy, and I
Okay.
called it puff pass. So for each
Yep, I
position group,
remember that one.
yeah, so for each position group I had 2 guys I'm puffing on, so 2 guys I'm, you know wanting to play and or starting, and then 1 guy I'm passing on, or 1 guy I'm sitting. So that went, it was great. I was doing like 1,400 word articles a week for that, and then
Nice.
on top of that we had the jet sweep show. So last season it was in the middle of or sorry, halftime on the Sunday night football game. This year we are Monday night football. So we literally just finished recording before I hopped on here. That's why I was a couple minutes late. My apologies.
No worries.
But yeah, so I did that. And then there was the original version of the Smoke Show. And that was my first actual content that I put out there. And this was before I was on any sites or anything like that. It was just me. I had gotten to the point where I was listening to so many. I was working a delivery job.
Okay.
And so I was on the road for like, 8 hours a day sometimes between calls and deliveries and stuff like that.
Yep.
And so I would be listening to so many podcasts, like every podcast in the industry you can think of, before I discovered like fantasy Twitter. Like we're talking the mainstream, but footballers, fantasy pros, ESPN, Yahoo, CBS, you name it. I listened to it.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where like, a host would be sitting there asking a question of their co-host, and I would just sit there and rattle off the answer before they would. And I'm just like,
Yep.
I'm not getting anything out of this anymore. This kind of sucks. I'm like, fuck it. I'm gonna do my own. I'm gonna say maybe some of the questions I'm not hearing. And my thing, if for anyone that has seen me or interacted with me in the slightest knows, I kind of don't take myself super seriously. I like to have fun. Fantasy football is about fun. I like to make sure that what I'm doing is fun as well, because who knows, maybe someone will watch it, listen to it, and have fun themselves. Woo! Spread the joy, y'all. But so on the original version of the Smoke Show, I had things like fake commercials for like products that didn't exist,
Oh my
websites that
God.
didn't exist. Yeah, and it was just kind of stupid, irreverent humor that just kind of broke things up. And people listen and be like, "Is that something real?" And it's just like it was just fun. And so, but it wasn't paradigm shifting. The the fake ads maybe, but like the content itself, it wasn't anything that anyone else wasn't doing.
Yeah.
So once the jet sweep started, week 2, I was like, I didn't want to have another show and just have it be redundant. So I
Okay.
shelved the Smoke Show. I stripped it down to the studs, and I spent 8 months figuring out, how can I be different? How can I make myself kind of stand out from the crowd? What is something I could do, and like what is a strength of mine? Because like am I the best analyst? No. Am I the best with spreadsheets and R and all that? Absolutely not. Am I a great collator of information, and I have my own sources of, scouring the internet and finding all these different data websites and everything like that, and amalgamating my own analysis on things. But my strength, other than, turning a microphone on and just gab it away, because I just love doing that. My strength was interviewing. I had a very short stint years ago. We're talking like 15, 20 years ago almost, as a kind of correspondent for a music magazine.
Okay, cool.
And basically it was an online zine that was based in Ontario, which is, like East Coast, not East Coast, but Eastern side of Canada. And I would basically just go out downtown Vancouver 3-4 nights a week, catch shows, interview artists, write reviews of
Awesome.
shows, CDs, albums, stuff like that. It was awesome. It was such a cool scene to be a part of and everything. And I got to know a lot of good friends, and some that I still have to this day. And but the interviewing part of it, I loved it. And I found that I was pretty good. And working so many years behind a bar, if I want to get some information out of you, I'm going to.
You
It's
can do it,
not
yeah.
hard. I can read people. I know how to make people comfortable. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here. It's just stuff that I've practiced for literally
Yeah.
decades. I've found cross training uses for. So it was just Yeah, I like, how can I be different? How can I make the smoke show something? Because I don't want to lose this. I love the property. I love what I was doing, but it didn't stand out, and I wanted to.
Yeah,
So the interviewing, I'm like, okay, I can interview. There's I'm not the only interview show out there. Absolutely not. I mean, Get Real, Case Kasem, man, that show is
she's
fantastic.
awesome.
Your
Yeah,
show here, the Fantasy Collective, I love this. Dan Harris for a while had that one, Game Changers, I think it was
I
called,
think so. Yeah,
on Fantasy Pros. There, like, that was fantastic too. But like, it was great. But I'm not different just being an interview show. So for myself, I was like, well, it doesn't have to just be one opinion I'm giving. How about I'm trying to get perspective from all over. So I'm like, what about street style reporting? Someone, not
okay.
me literally standing on a street asking the dummy people of Canada, "Hey, you know about that NFL football?" Um, because that I would not get good results there. But I know how to network. I know how to meet people in this industry. So that's what I did. I shot my shot. To this day, I've had one no. That's it. That's it.
Wow,
And it was
that's
for Hayden
awesome.
Hurst. I can understand him not being like, I was going through his agent and everything like that, but like, that's literally the only person that I've had a no from. It's fantastic. Like, people are so welcoming in this industry. So
Yeah,
it's like, okay, so okay, I can get some big ones, but I want to give perspectives from everyone. Like, you don't have to be an analyst to get on the smoke show. If you have an
yeah,
opinion on something, I throw a question out there. As long as you've got the recording equipment to make a half decent recording, I'll put you on there, man. Because for
yep,
me, the smoke show is about providing perspective through multiple angles, multiple lenses, multiple perspectives on the same topic. So you're not just getting one person answering this, you're getting it from multiple people. And then I usually ask the same question of my feature interviews, quote unquote, we'll say the bigger names. And then I put their answer in there too. So like, you'll hear an
cool.
answer from Adam Rank, and then you'll hear your answer right beside it. And it's like, that's kind
Yeah,
of cool. I'm on that
yeah,
same episode with these people. And then, it kind of organically kind of promotes itself, because everyone's like, man, look at my appearance on this. I was on this show, blah blah blah. So it kind of has a small factor of self-propagation and everything. So it's cool. I spent a lot of time, like I said, 8 months stripping this thing down, thinking of
yeah,
every angle, how I can make this different. And for myself, as long as I'm doing my part right, I don't have to do much. It's really all on the
yeah.
guest. I have that, and I am just a provider of perspective, because people aren't there to hear my dumb ass. They're there to hear everyone else. I'm just there to help them.
Well, I would say on this show they're here to hear your dumb ass, but I don't consider you that, because I consider you to be highly entertaining and pretty smart. So yeah, definitely not on this show. So you kind of already answered this, and honestly, that was a great answer for that question. But what made you start making fantasy football content? I know earlier you said you're a creative person. You need a lot of outlets. So is that your answer? And if yes, expand on that for me. Why? Like why?
Like, when I say that, like, I need outlets, like, if you're looking on the video feed for this right now, you're seeing my hand point to some of my guitars in the background. I've been a
Yep,
self-taught musician for decades. That was another thing where it's
that's
like,
awesome.
I needed a creative outlet. How do you tell a guitar player the riff that you hear in your head if you do not know how to play guitar yourself?
Dude, that's a
That's
fantastic question that I need answered for myself.
there it's literally impossible. So I would be in bands with people. Like, I've been a vocalist my whole life. That's how I got my foot in the door as a musician. I was a vocalist. And so that, being in front of a mic, being in front of a crowd, being a bartender, I think it wasn't not really far-reaching things we're talking about here. Very interconnected and very transferable
It
skills.
all makes sense.
Absolutely, man. It's been a pretty linear path. But when it came to that, it's like, I can't tell this guitar player what I'm hearing in my head, but I'm hearing this entire song in my head, every single instrument. How do I translate that? Well, pick up a guitar and teach yourself. So that's what I did. Taught myself guitar, bass, drums,
That's cool.
piano, anything I can get my hands on and play, I will. And I'll teach myself to be at least proficient enough to get these songs out of my head from that. And for a time it was that. It was a little easier when I was single as a bartender and everything. Family life cuts that down a little bit. Now I do like podcast intros. But there was a time where it was like, okay, that was good, but I need something else. I need another creative outlet. Video game creation. I would sit there and design video games. I had a series of like 3 of them, never finished any of them, but like it was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna do this. I've got storylines written, everything. It's just I have a feeling, I've never been tested, but someone told me recently that I think I might have ADHD.
A little. Just
I,
a little.
I've never really had experience around people that have. And a coworker of mine has been like properly diagnosed with it and everything like that. And we vibe in a lot of very similar ways. So he's like, you should go get tested. I'm like, yeah, I probably am. But it's hard to channel that creativity sometimes. So that's why I have all these outlets. But fantasy football has just been the best because like I can sit there and check stats. I have my data pages bookmarked from my phone. So I could be sitting there watching a movie with my son. I don't need to be invested in what storyline Ryder and the Paw Patrol are saving the day with today. I'm sure it's probably going to involve Chase, most likely Rubble, not Zuma. Zuma never gets love. I feel bad for the guy. Or Rocky, my favorite. Come on, give Rocky some love here. Green means go. We're getting way off course here, but I've always needed that creative outlet. So when it came to fantasy football, it's something that I could tailor around my existing life without having to drastically change it. I can do my stuff after my son goes to bed. It's just it's great. So that's kind of why it's stuck around for me. It's something I really enjoy, and I love helping people. That's always been something that I've loved doing. And when you get texts Sunday morning from your brother, from his friends, from your friends, from people that you've networked with, from people you don't even know, from people from Germany, from Australia, shout out Daniel O'Connell and Martin Von Rowe. It's crazy. It's the coolest feeling. And to be able to help these people and see them have success from that help. No greater feeling, man. That's why I do it. I don't do this to make money. I make a little bit of money, but that's okay. It's for a hobby, man. The reward for me, it's helping people, man, and having fun and making sure other people are having fun. That's my MO right there.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah, my uncle will text me. He's texted me the last 2 weeks, and he did it a little bit last year, but he'll be like, hey, anything that I need to do to my lineups. So I'll go into our family league, scroll, find his team, click on it, and be like, no, it actually looks pretty good. And then last week, and every now and again, I'll text him like, you might want to consider this, or you might want to consider this, but what you've got right now looks great. Mm-hmm. All right. Last fantasy question before rapid fire is, what is your favorite thing about the fantasy football community?
Well, I touched on it a little bit before, but just how welcoming it's been. Like when just before, like my first feature interview back when I relaunched the Smoke Show was with Adam Rank. And
nice.
I mean, I can't say enough good stuff about this guy. And literally the day before we had that broadcast, I haven't really told anyone this. I had to put my dog down, our dog of like 10 years.
Wow.
And it was soul crushing. And I mean, I dealt with, like mental health wise, I've dealt with depression since I was 18. And that could have put me, and it did put me on quite a spiral for a bit. But having that interview the next day, it was like a get your shit together moment. And like I said, I can't say enough good stuff about Adam Rank. He was the most welcoming human. We still talk. And it's just every experience I've had, whether it's been with, new people I meet through this, like Daniel I mentioned from Australia, or like people like Adam Rank, Joe Pisapia, John Hansen, like all these people, like it's just another person. Like no matter their stature, quote unquote, in this industry or outside of it, they've all just been really welcoming. And I can't be more appreciative of that for some yappy bloody white kid from the west coast of Canada to be talking about the American game of football that I love so very much. It's just, it just warms my black little heart.
Man, I love that, and that's actually the overwhelming majority of people have answered that question is just the people, the community and whatnot, and that's kind of how your answer went. But it was another different aspect of it, and that's what I've loved about this show is like you get a different answer, or you get the same answer kind of, but like kind of from a smoke show perspective. You get all these different angles and perspectives, and it's like that's so awesome. Like I just love it. So, all right, last two questions. Tell us a little bit about yourself outside of fantasy football. You've already, I mean, you've already peeled back the curtain, which I freaking love. Like this is how I imagine this show going. Like, and so you've been a great guest. But tell us a little bit about like what you do now, your family, different things like that.
Well, number one, I got to shout out my beautiful wife, Rachel. We've been married for 4 years now. It's been absolute bliss. It's been a crazy last couple of weeks. My car blew up. We just went and bought a brand new car today, so more adulting decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turned out all right. A crappy situation, but yeah, I got to shout out her. Without her love and support, you wouldn't see Smoky Hell floating around these parts. But yeah, and my little guy Felix, I post stuff about him all the time. He's just the
Yeah.
coolest little kid, man. He
How old
a
is
little
he?
bit of it. He just turned 3 in August, at the end of August.
Awesome.
There, I'll say he definitely got some of my more electric aspects, genetically
Oh,
speaking. So
goodness.
he's a character. He's bombarded and come in on many a podcast of mine and everything, but no, he's just a real funny kid. I'm so blessed to have such a strong family unit, and we have our ups and downs as anyone does, but
Yeah.
on the whole, man, I'm beyond blessed to have the life that I do. So that's kind of the personal stuff there, but
Cool.
we got a new fish. His name's Bucky. He's pretty
Nice.
badass. Siamese
kind of
funny
fish?
Beta, whatever you call him. Yeah,
Beta
just like a
fish?
little beta fish. He's awesome. He takes a little bit to warm up to you, but once he does, he's golden.
Awesome.
But yeah, other than that, I love sports. Other than football, I mean, like I'm a diehard Flyers fan. If you can't see that on the
Nice.
name there, and that's not a temporary tattoo. That is real. But yeah, the Cowboys
I
will be
was
coming
gonna
soon.
I was gonna ask you the stereotypical Canadian question of, do you like hockey? And if you do, who your favorite team was. So you just answered that.
I actually played the sport for 14 years,
Really?
and I taught for another 10. Yeah, so I was like,
Okay, I have to
you
ask a
can't really tell by
question.
the camera. Yeah.
I think you were about to answer it. How old are you?
See, this is what no one ever believed. I'm gonna be 40 next year.
No way.
Yeah, dude, my maturity level kind of
No
helps pass me
way.
by. And as you can see, I'm kind of a svelte guy. I never hit my growth spurt. I'm 5'7", like 155, so I'm like 2 inches shorter than Tutu Atwell, with a relatively same body type, except for he's a lot more muscular. But yeah, I drink a lot of coffee and I like to have fun with life. So I think that and a really good skincare regimen has me still looking and acting like him.
Dude, you look younger than I do, and I'm 26.
The key to life is having fun, man. Smile and Aveeno everywhere, especially around the eyes. I'm not even joking. You go in my bathroom, it looks like I'm fucking sponsored by them. And Aveeno, if you're listening, please. It works.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
But yeah,
Okay,
dude,
so
I will be 40 next year.
that is wild, dude. That is so wild. All right, last question before rapid fire. What are your hobbies outside of fantasy football?
I mean, I kind of touched on them a little bit there. Music when I can. In my time, I've played and tried my hand at every genre you can name. I've done country, I've done hip hop, I've done metal, I've done rock, I've done everything. You name it, I've tried my hand in it at least once because my influences come from everywhere. Like
Yep.
I did a tweet the other day, like it was just a nice rainy Pacific Northwest day, and man, it was a Miles Davis kind of blue kind of day, man. It's just when you have influences from all over, you're never devoid of inspiration.
Yep.
So like you could just sit there and pigeonhole yourself into early 80s thrash metal and be quite content with the plethora of decisions that you have, but it's really going to kind of shut your mind off to other possibilities. So for me, like I said, my influences come from everywhere. So why wouldn't I try everything? I want to try everything in life. My ADHD demands it.
I love that. I think you and I are very similar when it comes to that. When it comes to music taste. So let me ask you this question, and it's not on the show sheet. When you were scrolling through Scott Fishbowl divisions this year, were you like, "Oh, I could have been in that one. Oh, I could have been in that one. Oh, I could have been in that one," because there were so many good options.
I even when it came down to the divisions, I kind of attacked it analytically and strategically. So for
Okay,
myself, when it comes to rock music, there are two bands above all else that were like my biggest influences, and they are Soundgarden and Alice in Chains.
nice.
Now, I know through cursory information and everything that Alice in Chains as a band are very big into fantasy football. So I kind of thought, I'm like, I know that there's going to be some special guests and everything playing in this tournament and everything. So I'm like, you know what? If I go for them, I bet it's not going to be a lot of people requesting them. Sure enough, when divisions were announced, I was the lone person in Alice in Chains, which I made. And sure enough, their manager is in our division. So it was just
No
like, just for the
kidding.
possibility that you could play against Alice in Chains, like this is just kind of a cool thing to say. And like, I mean, Jerry Cantrell is one of my biggest influences as a musician. So like just to be representing the that name as a division, everything, man. But honestly, I could have been in any division and been so happy, man. It would have been
Yeah,
perfect. Like just the fact that I got in, over the moon, man, over the moon.
yeah.
The
I
aspect of
got
giving and everything is just amazing.
yeah. I got in my favorite bands division, and I got my pick slot, which is nice. Which was Green Day pick 6. So, um,
Nice.
loved it. All right, you
Oh,
ready for
that's
some
very good.
rapid fire questions?
I was born ready, Shane. Bring it on.
All right, here we go. Favorite NFL team?
Dallas Cowboys, no exceptions.
Favorite sport that's not football?
I'm probably going to have to go with hockey since it is inked into my skin permanently. So yeah, we'll go with hockey. they might revoke my citizenship if I don't.
For real though. uh, favorite food?
Oh, I knew it was coming and it's not any easier. Can I just say all? Except for mushrooms and tomatoes. I don't do
Okay, yeah,
mushrooms
that's
at
fine
all.
because I can't
Um,
stand tomatoes.
Yeah, like you make anything out of a tomato, I'm all over it. But like just a tomato, it's like you're eating a human brain, and it's not like I'm specific on which species of brain it is. It just seems to me very reminiscent of what. Yeah, let's just move on. No tomatoes.
Favorite sports movie?
Ooh, I was out on the golf course yesterday. Or was it the day
Okay.
before? No, Saturday. Yeah, the day before, and I was thinking, man, Tin Cup was a great movie. I would have to put it up there. And then I'm thinking, I'm like, Kevin Costner just does really good sports movies. Like you name a
Yeah.
sport, he's probably done a movie about it.
Yep.
But let me do one that you're probably not going to hear a lot of.
Okay.
And it might be my Canadian showing, but we'll say Mystery Alaska.
Okay.
And
I don't think I've seen
for a
that one.
couple reasons. Oh my god, do it. It is about this like backwoods Alaska town that is just revolves around their local hockey team, which is made up of like the
Awesome.
citizens of this crazy town. Like Russell Crowe is the star. So
Oh,
Russell Crowe on
beautiful.
ice. That's all I got to say. He's one of my favorite
That's
actors. So
beautiful.
I'm automatically all over it, but it was good. It's a very funny. It also contains one of the greatest lines in a sports movie ever. And I quote, I have a toy horse and he takes big shits. When you watch the movie, you will get that context and you will die. But yeah,
Oh my god.
let's go with the very underrated, underappreciated Mystery, Alaska.
All right, let's do it. Favorite non-sports movie?
Oh, Gladiator. As I said, Russell Crowe was my favorite. I remember seeing that in the theaters when it came out. That was the year I graduated, I believe. And sitting like not like front row, but like 5 rows back in the theater, and there
Yeah.
was barely anyone in there. I think I went to a matinee or some shit like that. And oh my God, that opening scene where they're facing the Germanic tribes, and oh my God, just mayhem. I love it. I've seen that movie more times than I could quote, and probably more times than any Paw Patrol, Thomas the Tank Engine, or Peppa Pig episode that you put out there, which I know all of them, and I mean all of them by heart, all of them. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I've seen Gladiator more than all those, and I will watch it every day if I could.
Awesome. This one's gonna be tough for you, I think. Favorite band?
It's too hard. Even if you named me a genre, it would be too hard within that genre. So let's just go with the musician that was the inspiration for me becoming a musician. So without
Okay.
this guy, I would not have had any of this here, would not have done any of the things that I have done. And that's Mr. Chris Cornell.
Love it.
He
God,
was
that's a great pick.
he has always been my biggest inspiration. Like if you heard me really unleash on vocals, like my vocal patterns are like patterned completely after his. Completely. So yeah,
I love
if
that.
I have to go a favorite of all time, I'm just gonna cheat and say Chris Cornell, and that's gonna cover me on Audio Slave and Soundgarden. So yeah, and his solo stuff. We'll leave the Timberland album at the door, but everything else, come on in.
Love it. All right. Favorite adult beverage?
Ooh. Like I said, I spent many years behind a bar
Mhm.
slanging the things, and in my time, I came up with conservative estimate probably between 500 and 600 recipes.
Wow.
So, but when it came down to drinking myself, I'd like just something simple. I don't need anything fancy. I've gone through phases in my life. The phase I currently reside in, and I don't drink a ton. I smoke a lot, but I don't drink a ton. But when I do, it's rum. I'm a
Okay.
big rum guy, and yeah,
Nice.
it's just delicious. It's sugar based. I mean, I got a wicked sweet tooth, so like even in other phases when I was into whiskeys and stuff, it was always bourbons or Irish whiskey, just the sweeter
Yeah.
profile stuff.
Yep. Love that. All right. Favorite TV show?
Oh, that's a tough one. That is a really, really tough one. I'll give you a recent one that I was absolutely crazy about. I'm partway through my second watch, but The Boys on Amazon.
Okay.
Oh man,
I've heard that's really good. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard it's really, really good.
oh man, like I'm a big comic geek, like DC
Yeah.
and Marvel. I'm a big DC guy, but Marvel as well, especially with the movies and everything like that. But that show was crazy. Like imagine if Superman had no scruples, if he didn't give
Yeah.
a shit about being a good guy, quote unquote.
Yeah.
That's the premise,
The
basically.
Boys.
And,
Okay.
it's so good, like ridiculously good. I definitely
Awesome.
that's got the smoky seal approval right there.
I love it. All right. Favorite defensive player? Give me all time and right now. We're talking football, obviously.
All time. I mean, it's got to be either non-homer pick Reggie White. That guy just destroyed dudes. He was just so much fun to watch. And then the homer pick, I'm gonna say DeMarcus Ware. Also super fun to watch, even in the Bronco years, man. Just a great defensive end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then modern,
Awesome.
oof, Christ. Just any guy who brings that fire. I'm talking about that Deion Sanders type swag, man. And like throw Neon Dion into my list too. There's another fucking homer pick there for the historical one. But a guy I want to see it. I don't care about this taunting bullshit penalty calls that you have now. Get out there and make me believe. Make me just get so electrified by what I see you doing on that field, on that screen, man. Make me feel that. And I love any kind of defensive player who can do that. I'm pretty excited about Micah Parsons. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm almost wanting. I'm really wanting them to keep him as a pass rusher because
yeah,
he can get to that.
we need it, and B, he looked damn good.
He did. He did. I mean, I wasn't totally on board when we drafted him, I will admit. But since then, I've learned to love him. And I am wishing nothing but the best for Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys. I'd use him as a pass rusher. I'd be very happy with that.
Yeah. All right. Last rapid fire question and last question of the show. Favorite offensive player? Same context. Give me all time and give me right now.
Okay. All time, I probably gotta go with the guy who was solidified me as a Cowboys fan for life, Mr.
Okay.
Troy Aikman. I
Love it.
being Canadian, I don't have a lot of exposure live to the NFL unless I'm, going down to Seattle or anything like that, or going to the States. But in 1995, when I was 12 years old, I took my first solo trip cross country to visit my brother.
Sorry, I'm laughing because that was the year that I was born.
So here I am, little 12-year-old Smokey, flying across country to see his brother, who is 15 years my senior. He's old.
Okay.
And it happened to be August 1995 when the NFL decided to play its first exhibition game in Canada.
Nice.
And so, being the top teams at the time, it was Buffalo, who was in close proximity to Sky Dome, and the Dallas Cowboys. And so the day before the game, it was like an open practice. You could go right down to like the side of the field there, get a bunch of autographs and everything like that. So me and my brother and his best friend, hoofer on down, get a bunch of autographs. And then one of the players is like, oh, this is the hotel we're staying at. There might be some guys just milling above the lobby or whatever. I mean, this was 1995. It was a bit different of a time. And so we're like, why not? So we go on over to the hotel. It wasn't too far from the stadium. And sure enough, bunch of guys in the lobby. And this is going to be a bit of a story, but I love telling this one because it's a roller coaster of emotion. So we go in there, and lo and behold, I see Emmitt Smith sitting in the corner on one of those like lounge fucking lobby chairs. I'm like, holy shit, I've got his rookie card on me, literally on me. I was like, how many times am I going to get an opportunity like this? So yeah. I come over, and I was very respectful back then. Like, I am respectful now, but even more so back then as a little shit. And so I walk up, and I card in my hand, looking like little Oliver Twist. I said, "Excuse me, Mr. Smith. I was wondering if I can get an autograph, please." And he looks at me, and he goes, puts his headphones on, and turns his head the other way, looking completely away from me. And I'm just like,
no.
Yeah. And so I walk away completely dejected. Like, what just happened? And so, okay, whatever. I see a bunch of people coming towards the front door here. And I'm like, okay, someone big's got to be coming in. So it's like, those sliding doors or whatever. So I weasel my way to the front. I'm very small. It's very easy to do. And I get up to the front, and sure enough, doors open up. In walks Troy Aikman. And I just look up. My jaw just kind of drops a little bit. Like my little scrawny hand just goes up reflexively. I was just like, hi, Mr. Aikman. He grabs my hand, gives me a handshake, gives me a smile. I was like, hey. And then, security's around and brings him up to his room. And I was just like, that went from like the worst experience. Yeah, that went from like the worst experience to the best, all in a span of like less than 5 minutes. And I was just like, that was crazy. And that solidified me as a Cowboys fan for life. So all-time offensive player, we're going to go with my boy Troy, because that was the handshake that sealed the deal. That might have been the devil. That might not have been Troy Aikman. That might have been the devil himself shaking my hand, going, "Oh, you sucker." But you know what? I'm here now. I'm still hooked. I'm still a Cowboys fan, man. Through thick and thin, there's been a lot of thin. But yeah, all-time Troy Aikman. Currently, there's only two names that are coming up, and again, it'll be a homer pick and a non-homer pick. CeeDee Lamb, my God.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
I have never been in any sport so excited for a draft pick, other than when we got Sean Couturier on the Flyers, because I really, 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 really wanted him. I saw his potential for a 200-foot game, and we got him, and I was jubilant. But when we drafted CeeDee Lamb, I was listening to the Fantasy Pros live stream of that draft last year, and when the Falcons passed on him at 16, I started getting into a cold sweat. I'm like, no, No goddamn way did CeeDee Lamb fall to the Cowboys. Like,
At
this is a gift.
17.
This is a solid gold gift on a platinum platter being gifted to you at 17 overall. Like, this guy is a franchise changing level of talent. And you just gave him to us. You gave him to us. So stupid.
And
Shame on you, Atlanta.
I think the best part about it, I don't know about you, but the best part about it was the fact that we were able to just give the Eagles a giant middle finger by taking him before it got to their pick. I was like,
Enjoy
this is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. Because I don't remember. I remember that I was in the car listening to the draft when the Eagles, I think, traded up and took Goddard. And we needed a tight end at that point. I was like, you sons of bitches. So the fact that we were able to do it a couple years later with someone as talented as CeeDee Lamb, I was like, ha!
I'll take that. I'll take that trade-off every day of the week. And then while we're on the subject of Atlanta, my other one that is the non-homer pick, I am, well, as you can see by this blanket in the background, I am a Florida Gators fan. And so we're going to my boy, Kyle Pitts. I have been espousing my devotion and love for this guy all off season. It's just he got more points this week than his freaking quarterback. Can we get Matt Ryan fixed? Take him for a tune-up. I don't care what you have to do. Put a new spark plug up his butthole. I mean, just do whatever you have to do to fix him, man. Because Pitts, he can create. He got 5 catches yesterday for like 78 yards. This guy just snaps off big play after big play and like even turns crap throws into just beauty. He is I've never been so excited about a player since CeeDee Lamb, which is only 1 year, but still, these two guys, that's it for me.
Yeah, I love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this episode of Kollectiv Knowledge. Josh, before we go, where can people find you? What you got coming? Let us know.
All right, so as I mentioned earlier, the return of the Jet Sweep Show is here, so you can find us on Twitter at Jet Sweep Show. We're on every podcasting platform you can think of, and YouTube as well, so get on in. And you can find the Smoke Show, which is part of the Fantasy Points Media Group, on everywhere except for Apple Music. I've been trying for a year to fix this, and to no avail, so that one's for you, Apple Music, as far as the Smoke Show is concerned. Keep playing the Jet Sweep Show there. You can find myself on Twitter at SmokeyHellNFL, and you can pretty much anything that I'm on, which is not very many things, is under Smokey Hell NFL now. Sports Me. That is a super fun thing. I'm just going to touch on this very quickly. It's this thing where you can do 30-second videos, just face to face, very direct points and stuff like that. You're battling back and forth with people. There's a ton of people on there. Rumboy's Robbie's on there. Troy's on there.
I'm not on there frequently, but
no, but there's so many people on there, and it's an untapped market right now. So get on there, man. Have some fun. Look me up. Let's battle. Let's have some takes. I got exclusive content on there like 4 or 5 days a week now. So it's a ton of fun. So hit me up on there. Smokey Hell NFL. It rhymes, and it's just so nice to say.
Sports me, it sports you. Shout out Robbie. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this episode of Kollectiv Knowledge. Again, make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube page, Fantasy Football Collective. That's with a K and no E. And then make sure you follow me on Twitter at FFShaneB. Cheers, ladies and gentlemen.